Welcome, everybody, to the Ray Shasho Show, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency. Each week, Ray spotlights in-depth interviews with legendary and up-and-coming authors and music artists. Ray also features the movers and the shakers of the music and publishing industries and suggests important methods for getting the most out of your public relations and marketing needs. Please welcome music journalist, author, and entrepreneur, Ray Shasho.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ray Shasho, and welcome to the show where we spotlight legendary and up-and-coming music artists and authors. Brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency. Call us today at 941-877-1552 or visit www.publicityworksagency.com. And remember, we shine only when we make you shine. Our very special guests today are Gary Lucas, American guitarist, songwriter, composer, and record producer, and collaborating partner Jann Klose, singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist. Both artists are eclectic musicians that tour throughout the world on their own. On January 8th, 2016, guitarist Gary Lucas and singer Jann Klose released 10 songs they've collaborated on the past 3 years. The new release, Stereopticon, was recorded in New York City's premier analog studio, the Maid's room, in September 2014 and June 2015. Jann says a Stereopticon is a classic slide projector that combines two images to create a three-dimensional effect. The title fit Since There Are the Two of Us, and the album was recorded live on 2-inch tape, the classic analog recording technique. Gary explains how the two create their new songs. There's a lot you can do with just voice and guitar. We took influences from all over the Americana spectrum and added a few odd surprises. Secret Wings was one of their first collaborations. Jann says it's about the city beating you down and making it through the noise and craziness, especially in New York City. Created by D'Angela Napier, Secret Wings is the duo's new music video and available on YouTube. Secret Wings features scenes of the city from jarring cabs and graffiti to comfort zones like Jann and Gary playing at the Rockwood Music Hall and breathing in Central Park. Stereopticon is produced by Jann, Gary, and Dan Beck, who call themselves Dr. Trey. Gary Lucas has co-written hits with artists Joan Osborne, Spiderweb, and Jeff Buckley's Grace and Mojo Pin. He worked extensively with the legendary Captain Beefheart. Rolling Stone magazine says Gary is one of the best and most original guitarists in America. A modern guitar miracle. His long-awaited Gary Lucas Fleischer Eye, music from Max Fleischer cartoons, released this month. It's music from Max Fleischer's Betty Boop and Popeye cartoons, Lucas says. There are a whole bunch of songwriters featured on the album. Max Fleischer is the animation genius behind Betty Boop and Popeye. He was rocking New York City and the rest of America from his Fleischer Studios based in Times Square in the early 30s and giving Walt Disney on the West Coast a run for his money. Gary is currently collaborating with Steve Kilbey, from The Church, and Chris Shin, new lead singer of Live, and was music director of State of Grace, a multi-artist Australian tribute to Tim and Jeff Buckley. Born in Germany and raised in Kenya, South Africa, and the United States, Jann Klose is currently collaborating with Ann Hampton Calloway, Renaissance's Annie Haslam, Hall & Oates, John Oates, and the Yardbirds' Jim McCarty. In 2015, Jann and his music appeared in the short film The Beauty of Disaster and the award-winning Australian feature documentary, A Venue for the End of the World. His most recent album, Mosaic, won 3 2014 Independent Music Awards and charted for several months on the AMA and Roots Rock charts.
No, not in yours.
Gary and Jann both worked on the movie Greetings from Tim Buckley. Jann is the singing voice of Tim Buckley, while Gary consulted and played guitar. Tony Award winner Frank Wood plays Gary in the film. Gary and Jann will be performing select shows together this spring in the United States. It is my great pleasure to welcome Gary Lucas and Jann Klose to the Ray Shasho Show. Welcome, guys.
Ray. Hey, buddy. Nice to be on here.
So how and when did you two decide that collaborating was a good idea?
Well, I was doing a tribute to my late partner, Jeff Buckley, at the Knitting Factory. And it was suggested by somebody that I had to check out, Jann. And Jann had played some other tributes in Chicago and elsewhere and loved Jeff's work. So I invited him on the show, and I was knocked out. I thought he was one of the best singers I'd ever heard and a very nice guy. And so we got friendly, and so, we mentioned, hey, we ought to try writing. So eventually we did go into a studio, and it was an amazing experience because the rapport was there from the get-go. It was incredibly easy to develop songs with him, and we quickly came up with a bunch of really good ones that we started playing, actually, on some of Jann's shows, and it was exciting, and then from there, I think Jann had mentioned a fellow named Dan Beck, who I go way back with in another lifetime. Earlier on, I used to work at CBS Records as a copywriter.
Right.
And Dan was a marketing whiz and a publicist for a while. Also a songwriter on the side for people like Dion and a lot of great artists, Felix Cavalieri. And so Dan was kind of interested in Jann, and there had been some discussion on helping Jann. And I thought, look, if we could bring Dan in as a lyricist, this would probably be good for the whole project, because with his knowledge of the music biz and expertise working with folks like Michael Jackson, for instance, he probably would be able to help us take certain necessary steps to get this out of the basement, into the light of day. So he was brought in about halfway through our writing and contributed a lot of lyrics on the record, too, about half. That's really how we got going on this thing.
Well, it's a great collaboration. You guys are both, proficient musicians, and I've always loved both your music, and I really liked Jann's Mosaic. I talked to him on his last album and did a review on the album, and it was a terrific album. You both of you got tremendous talent.
Thanks.
Do you guys trade off with acoustic on the new album?
Actually, I'm playing all the acoustic, although I enjoy hearing Jann in his solo work play acoustic. We thought to maybe delineate the contours of this collaboration. I would basically let Jann do the vocals with a couple of little harmonies thrown in, and one song I'm trading off lyrics with him. And I would concentrate on the acoustic, and that's, in a way, that's where Stereopticon comes from, in a way, because it's like a double attack and a double vision that comes together as a 3D unity, kind of. That was the idea.
Well, I mentioned my take on the album is lyrically profound, acoustically brilliant. How's that?
All right, man. We love it. Vocally out of this world, man. I'm telling you,
out of this world.
He's one of the most fabulous singers out there. I mean, I worked with some of the best, as you know. I mean, a lot of different vocalists with amazing ranges and styles, from Beefheart to Buckley.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Jann is in his own thing, man.
He's doing his own thing.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's like to hear him on that last track where he scat sings Overture, the last track on our album. That just sends me every time I hear it. It's just beautiful.
Well, talk about the new album now. Secret Wings is also one of my favorites, and it's on YouTube for everybody to see. There's a little bit, Jann, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know, that there's a little bit of Peter Gabriel in there. It reminds me of a little bit of a Peter Gabriel song. I don't know if maybe from early Genesis, but it's a great song. Yeah,
I haven't heard that before, but the album only just came out, so people are just starting to react to it. So it's that's cool. That's nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Peter Gabriel. I mean, I've listened to him for a long time, so that's nice to hear. Not intentional, anyway.
Well, I think it just comes out. You guys are eclectic musicians. You like to do a lot of different things, which is great. There's a lot of world music you guys also are into. sounds from all over the world, which I'm also into. And I think a lot of the, legendary artists are doing a lot of that now. They're picking up the instruments from other countries and taking little riffs here and there, adding it to their music. And I think that's a great thing, because the world has a lot to offer, as far as music, besides just our way of thinking here in the United States. But
cool.
the tracks, I'm going to mention a few tracks. I guess Fair Weather is a cool tune. It's a little jazzy tune about two-faced people.
Oh, good.
Who came up with that?
Yeah, we all know a couple of those.
Yeah. Well, being in the music biz, you got to sort of be careful to navigate your way through layers of people who might be friends, but oftentimes are backstabbers. And, I don't know. It's like trying to...
Eventually, look, the longer you're in the business, especially music business, but I think anywhere, it's a life lesson as well, that there are people that will say one thing to your face and turn around and say something else.
Yeah, no.
And
you
you can't escape that. You just have to let that go.
Yeah.
They eventually hurt themselves anyway, I think.
True.
Yeah, it catches up to them, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Walking and Talking is a Canned Heat influence tune, huh?
Who said?
I don't know Canned Heat, so I can't speak to that.
Is that written on a press release?
That's in the press release. Yeah, I don't
know where that goes.
I don't even.
Let's talk to Ann about that one.
Yeah.
Maybe she heard it. I don't really hear it myself, but it's a great.
I don't even know who that is. Who is that?
Who's Canned Heat? Who's Canned Heat?
No, we love Canned Heat, but I don't. It's an acoustic drive-in blues,
right?
And it's like I had this figure, and it just sounded like strutting down the street with a finger picking, and so it naturally, when Jann and I started trading lyrical thoughts on it, at one point we were thinking of making, we might still do a kind of a music theater piece developing out of these songs. Yeah, I know. And so it could be like the protagonist, Jann, walking into a town, announcing he's there to play, and describing a typical one-nighter.
Right.
I was going to say one-night stand, but it's too early.
Well, actually, if I may chime in, let's be honest.
All right, so
let's be honest. It is.
We're musicians.
It is about life on the road, and good things happen on the road too.
Yeah.
And you play a gig, you meet somebody, you have a one night stand.
Oh man, you Europeans, I'm telling you.
Hey, we're just honest.
You're just honest. I want to tell the audience that Jann was born in Germany, but he actually grew up in Kenya, which is really cool, because we had this conversation before about Kenya. I had a good friend in Kenya.
Really?
And it's a cool place. I like to go there. I definitely like to visit Kenya. It must have been a very exciting childhood.
Well, it was Kenya. It was South Africa. We lived in Nairobi. My brother was actually born in Nairobi, and then we moved to Johannesburg and lived there for 6 years. And I have a half-sister who was born in Cape Town, and I was actually just back in South Africa for the first time since childhood.
Oh, really?
And toured there last September. Yeah.
Didn't know that. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other song, I'm going to put a reference to a legendary rock star, is Nobody's Talking, which is about cell phone users. And it's a great track, and to me, I don't know, Jann, you come out sounding a little bit like Lou Reed on this one.
Well, that's not me.
That Lou Reed guy is me. That's me.
Gary.
That's one I'm trading off.
Well, that
Gary,
makes sense.
But I'll own it, because Lou was a friend of mine. I miss him. I used to see him in the Village. I live in the West Village all the time.
Yeah.
With Laurie Anderson and their dog, often their little Jack Russell dog. Mm-hmm. And Lou was one of my influences and gave me a tremendous compliment about my playing once. invited me to play with him in his house, and then said, "I could listen to you play for hours, Gary." Yeah, I played.
Good imitation, by the way.
Well, I just I wanted to do a character of like a rock star.
Yep.
On the track, and a sort of tongue-in-cheek, I mean, it's a funny song, but.
Oh, it's a great song.
Thank you. Well, we're doing a video for it, or D'Angelo Napier is creating a new video for it.
You got to. You got
Yeah.
A couple of the tracks should be on video, actually.
Yeah.
I really identify with those music videos. Especially
Great.
I love you too.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell her. That's good to hear. Because they were done, very quickly.
Yep.
But effectively.
At the Village, I've interviewed a lot of people that kind of grew up musically in the Village. You probably knew Maria Moldauer's husband.
Yeah, Jeff.
Jeff, yeah.
Great guy.
Played
with him.
Yeah.
Are you from that area? Wow, that's amazing.
A lot of good music. I got family.
Jeff Moldauer, great guy.
Jeff Moldauer, yeah. Maria, I talked to Maria a few times.
Well, we had Jenny Moldauer for a second.
Claire? Do you guys know Claire and the Reason? You know that band?
I don't know.
Ray, you should check them out. Gary, you should check them out too. That's Claire Moldauer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I love their music.
Yeah, they're great.
Their music.
And
Claire
I love
the
Jim Kweskin, Chuck Band.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of great musicians came out of that area. Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Yeah, another one.
My favorite, my all-time favorite artist.
Yep. Trying to get an interview with him is hard, so.
No. Yeah, you got to be Ed Bradley. Somebody.
Yeah, there you go.
He's like, anyway.
Hey guys, I have about another 10 minutes before I have to do another call, so just so you know.
Okay, Jann, very excellent. Jewel Julia, again, Jann, is another favorite tune.
Beautiful.
Song, with a sea shanty, I guess.
Yeah.
Excellent music. And I was telling, you guys had fun making this song. I could tell. I mean,
we had fun making all these songs. Believe me.
Yeah, but you really shine on this one.
That's one that Dan Beck wrote the lyrics for, and I love that tune. I love that. I love the whole folky kind of, English-sounding. Terrible description, Gary. I know, but I love that. I love that guitar line, and I love that song. I really do. I like listening to this record myself. Like I'll put it on just to listen to it because I want to, and that doesn't really happen that often to me. Well,
it doesn't happen much with musicians. Most of the guys I talk to, after they record it, they never listen to it. They said they just don't want to.
No, I often feel that way about other albums of mine, but this one is a pleasure to put on because every time I hear it, I'm like, damn, this thing has so many hooks. Yeah. People are going to want to play this over and over again. They just got to hear it once. It's like the trick here. So you're going to help us.
There's a lot of depth to it. There's more stuff that you discover the more you listen to it.
Yeah.
And Mary Magdalene.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
That's an epic.
It's an epic, yeah.
It is, in 3.5 minutes, or 2 minutes and 50.
And it's all about the Superstorm Sandy, right?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yes,
I mean, the lyrics are fantastic.
Thanks. Well, that's Dan. But see, we were all touched by Sandy, and Dan Beck lives in a neighborhood where they really had a severe wipeout with water spilling in and driving people out of their homes and wrecking. I mean, here in the West Village, a friend of mine's basement was absolutely flooded. He had a home studio there. He lost all of his gear.
Right.
He almost got trapped down there. He said there was like 6 inches of air between the water level and the ceiling.
Wow.
The recording studio, I used to work in the studio there. So all of us, and Jann worked on the cleanup effort. We had a personal connection to this storm. I mean, it was a kind of terrifying week. But to then try and put a positive song together, musically and lyrically, and give people a sense of community about, the way people pulled together. There was so much love. I mean, it was really, to be in the middle of it, and then see your neighbors out on the street trying to make sense of the devastation was good for the spirit in a way, because people pulled together. I'm proud of that song.
Yeah, lyrically
Jann sang the hell out of it.
It couldn't have been a better song, to describe
We'll tell Dan that.
Yeah, it was great. And you guys encourage your fans to donate as well, right?
Yeah.
Island Park Volunteer Fire Department. Right.
Yes, I mean, really, that's the one that we had a connection with because that's where we shot the video.
Right.
But, it's just a reminder that this can happen anywhere, really. And it's going to happen more and more as we're dealing with climate change. And and I think that, people should wake up more to this and be aware that this can happen again anytime.
I know.
Yeah, we got this El Nino thing happening, so we're getting a lot of strange weather. We had 4 tornadoes a couple of weeks ago in this area, which is pretty strange. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had Siesta Key guy clobbered over here. So it can happen anywhere. You guys are on YouTube as well, one-on-one, Gary Lucas and Jann Klose. It's from the City Winery, right? New York, it's a full session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we did 3 songs for this guy's show, and came out really well. He had some good position cameras and good mics on us, and we were really into the spirit of playing from the basement, It was like right by some of the vats of wine down there.
Sometimes that's
and
pretty
maybe
cool.
the spirit of the vino seeped into the...
Probably.
I'm a teetotaler, but...
I think it did, for me anyway. I like wine.
Well, then definitely you guys got to play Florida because this is big wine.
All right, well, come on, man. We can't wait to get down there.
Oh my God!
Look it up, man.
Down here.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, hook us up with a gig.
Somebody, definitely.
If you're listening,
we're there, man. It's easy for us to do it because it's really just the guitar, acoustic guitar, and the voice. That's it. We don't have a lot of roadies or tour rider.
Yeah, you don't have
only blue M&Ms in that thing.
Yeah, exactly. 10 M&Ms, 3 marshmallows. I just hooked
up. The bottle of wine is important, so.
A couple of cases of wine.
No, man, just one bottle. I don't think.
I was hanging out backstage at a Kansas. The band Kansas was playing at a fest. We have a lot of little outdoor festivals here, and I was backstage with Kansas, and they had tons of wine that was just sitting around, and they were all grabbing it, putting it in their cars. It was so funny.
Wow.
I mean, you just can't leave it there,
No, that's right.
I just hooked up Corky Lang down here.
You're
Corky
kidding
Lang?
me. From Mountain? That guy?
He's good. He's a friend of mine, and I hooked him up in Largo Cultural Center, and they're going to play there in June, so I could probably do the same thing.
Hey, hook us up, Ray. I'm not kidding, man.
I'm serious.
We want to play in Florida. I'm dying to do that. So is Jann. And
indeed,
yeah, we'll rock your socks off, man.
So you guys will play. We'll play together.
Yeah.
And just like the new album, pretty much. So
we'll do the new album, plus some of our solo stuff, and
all right. I'll email Ann with all the information.
Great.
And, and you can even take a trip out to see the venue. It's a nice little venue.
Okay.
I did a gig there with Ronnie Montrose on his last tour. A lot of people play there. Roger McGuinn.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've done a gig with him once.
Yeah, you did.
Roger.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Jan, if you have to go at any point, just let us know, because I know.
Yeah, I do, but you guys keep talking.
We'll keep talking. Okay.
All right.
And play the tunes, and thanks to your audience for tuning in.
We sure will.
Great.
And we're gonna put this on YouTube, and it'll be on iTunes as well for everybody to listen after it's on the radio. So,
great.
Yep.
Great.
I wanted to talk to Gary too about his new album, which didn't it just get released?
Yeah, yesterday.
Hey, I'm gonna cut out, guys. I'll talk to you.
Hey, man. Talk soon,
Jan. Thanks for being on, Jan.
You got it. Okay. Bye, guys.
All right, man. Take care.
Yeah, this Fleischer Eye record, it's a labor of love. It came out yesterday, and on Cuneiform, they're a label from Silver Spring, Maryland.
Yeah, I was pretty close to that area. I didn't know they had a record company there.
Yeah, no, hey, come on. I've done a couple of records for them. It's basically avant-garde, like jazz and experimental music, but I did 2 Beefheart tributes under the name Fast and Bulbous.
Right.
That came out in the last decade that they did a very good job on. And so this one, they were super excited because, you know, we all of a certain generation grew up with Betty Boop and Popeye.
Sure.
And I remember seeing them on Saturday morning cartoon shows. I'm from Syracuse, New York, and fell in love with both of these iconic characters. And one of the things about the music that moved me, one of the things about the cartoons that moved me so much is the music on the tracks. And they used a lot of jazz, actually, very urban soundtracks, and some of the cartoons had vocal appearances by Cab Calloway and Louis Armstrong.
Yep.
So I've always wanted to do a project that would focus on these delightful soundtracks because the cartoons, to me, are like just, you know, immortal. They would give Walt Disney definitely a pause for reflection. I know that he saw the Fleischer Studios based in Times Square in the 30s as his major rival on the East Coast. But he was pretty benevolent because many years later, I know that when they the whole Fleischer story kind of has a tragic ending. I don't want to dwell on it.
Is it really?
Without naming names, let's put it this way: they were squeezed big time by their distributor and by the unions. And then the distributor called in their marker as far as a loan to relocate to Florida. Oh, yeah. Did you know that? Well, all right. I'll tell you a little bit about it. I mean, basically, Max and Dave Fleischer, 2 immigrants from Krakow, Poland, come to New York with just this dream of making it. They're living in Brooklyn. Max is the older brother and the dapper, more sophisticated one. Dave is the hellraiser, cut up, you know, kind of a free-spirited guy. And Max right away showed interest in animation and went to work for the pioneer animator Winsor McKay. I don't know if you know that name, but you may know Little Nemo in Slumberland and Gertie the Dinosaur. These were like really early animated American silent films that impressed the hell out of everybody who saw them, including Max. So Max said, I want to be a cartoonist. Then Max came up with the rotoscoping process, for which he received a patent from the U.S. Government Trademark Office, in which he filmed his brother Dave in a clown outfit rolling around in their garage, found a way to trace over the film of that to make animated cells, and voila, had a really smooth, lifelike looking animation that looked like a body actually moving, thanks to rotoscoping, which became an industry standard. Max invented it. He then started to work with another smaller company in Times Square, and eventually he and Dave set up shop as Fleischer Studios at 1600 Broadway at about 1927-28. It was still the silent era, and they did some beautiful silent film, cartoon films. And then as soon as sound came in, they latched on to the idea to do this character, Betty Boop. And this is controversial, but Betty Boop, who was embodied in the wonderful singer and performer Mae Questel, who's the major voice, also Olive Oil's voice. She has a fascinating story, too, but I'll get to her. Betty Boop was...
So Betty Boop and Olive Oil were the same voice?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's Mae Questel. And then she's Aunt Charmin. Please don't squeeze the Charmin, honey. Weigh it for yourself, honey, in the 60s.
Oh, yeah. That's her, huh?
Yeah, that's her. Wow. And she's in Woody Allen New York Stories, playing a grandmother from hell.
Yep.
Jewish grandmother from Hell. Mae Questel. Well, Mae Questel hooked up with Max, but Max's idea for Betty Boop was derived somewhat from a vaudeville singer named Helen Kane, who had an act that she did a little babyish voice and said boop boop a doop.
Right.
So Helen Kane, when Betty Boop got popular, initiated a lawsuit and said, "You stole my act, and I didn't get a dime." And it was thrown out by a judge because their lawyers came up with a record from Harlem of another singer, a black singer named Baby Esther, who in 1925 recorded the line "boop boop a doop" on a song. So she was out booped, Helen Kane, and they threw out the lawsuit, and Max was triumphant. May became this iconic figure, and that's showbiz. I love Helen Kane, and we do some Helen Kane songs on it. But her story is interesting because she's the daughter of Orthodox Jews living in Brooklyn, and they forbid May to be in showbiz, which was her major aspiration.
Right.
They said it's against the religion. No, you don't want to do that. But she was determined, and she won a talent contest. Part of her reason that she did impressions of various singers, one being Helen Kane. And this came to the attention of Max, and he said, "Okay, well, you will be my voice of Betty Boop from now on." And so Betty Boop was rocking, no one had seen this little cute, sexy, but tough as nails girl on a screen, anything like her. And eventually the censorship office of the Hays Code, which came in Hollywood, which had religious underpinnings, they blacklisted Betty Boop as she was then being portrayed. And so if you look at the progression of cartoons, the classic period is like from 1930 to 33.
Right.
Read Betty Boop, 34. And then her hemline starts to plunge. Her garter belt disappears. Her kind of décolletage disappears. And she becomes kind of a neutered, sweet sister type.
Right.
Betty Boop without a sexual appeal.
Yep.
Oh, well. And anyway, at the same time that Betty was sort of in decline, Fleischer's latched on to E.C. Segar's iconic character of Popeye in Bluto and Olive Oil, which were running in the Sunday Funnies, and got the rights to animate them. And
now,
this
did he model Popeye after anybody in
well,
particular?
There's some talk about influences.
Yeah.
Not that I know of, but Jack Mercer, who was the major voice of Popeye, you see a picture of him, you get this idea of a real cross, grumpy, gravelly voiced old sailor. He was a young, good-looking guy. I do not know how he pulled this voice out of himself. But, he's one of the best. And there's an earlier one that's even more guttural. And, I love all those old Popeye cartoons. That's what I grew up on. And Olive Oil, that's Mae Questel.
How about that?
Believe it or not, it's like she was very versatile, and she had a very long career. She worked, right up to the end, and was a very gracious woman. But, there were other voices, including Billy Costello. He's like the first voice of Popeye. And so on the new album, we do a whole recreation of a soundtrack to Barnacle Bill the Sailor. Beware of Barnacle Bill, if you know that one.
Right.
And I'm on it. I'm not really trying to do Popeye. One of the guys in the band is doing Bluto. Actually, is Barnacle Bill in this cartoon. And you have to hear it. It's pretty delightful.
Well,
I'll get
Sarah
him to
Stiles.
send you one. And,
Sarah Stiles.
Sarah Stiles. Oh, okay. Well, this is So you heard it. Okay, terrific.
Well, I heard there's the video of acoustic duo
of us doing it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Sarah Stiles is my Olive Oil and Betty Boop rolled into one. She's a music theater star. She was just on Broadway in a really hilarious comedy called Hand to God. And I found her thanks to my wife, who's a casting director.
Oh, really?
And for this project, I was like, often I've met singers on the way, on the road, or someplace at a gig, and a lot of my collaborations were sparked that way. This one, I really said, let's do a hunt, really, and do a casting call for the right music theater person. I wanted a music theater person background.
Sure.
And, yeah. So Caroline, who's sitting right here,
Tell her
came
hello.
up with hello. Ray Shasho says hello on the Florida radio. Yes, she says hello. And she came up with 5 different female potential Betty Boops for me. So I did a lot of research on YouTube, and when I saw Sarah Stiles in action on a clip, I said that she is head and shoulders the best.
Yep.
I got to get this girl on this project. So that was also not easy because she didn't have a website. In fact, I don't think she does still. But we found her through her agents, and she was very gracious and said, let's get going. Let's do it. So.
Yeah, she sings, don't take my boop
away. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're great songs.
They're great songs, yeah.
They're like, delightful. They have a little background in Yiddish music hall and torch songs, Tim Van Alley. I love this old showbiz stuff. I mean, I feel somehow, connected to it, which is odd when you consider I play with Captain Beefheart and people who are considered more experimental or
right.
artists. No, I love all kind of music. I mean,
well, it sounds like you're going to do more stuff, maybe the early 20s or something like that.
I mean, it's certainly a fertile field for further research. Yeah, I love it. I mean,
it's good for the kids today. It's good for the kids today too.
I think so, man. Yeah. Because I don't really. I've tried to check out what's currently fashionable as far as what kids are going for. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't resonate with me, and it could just be the age gap. But I think that there's an innocence about these cartoons and and a happy-go-lucky and a really, happy-spirited underpinning, and that there's too much cynical material out there. I mean, I don't want to name names or anything, but there was an animated show on last night that they busted out, one of the cable networks. And I was just so disappointed. I mean, it was like the animation was weak. There was hardly movement of lips, and it was all animals. Oops, there I said it. Okay. Well, anyway, and it was it was just 2 dudes sitting around talking, and they made them giant rats. It was like, okay. I mean, Fleischer did it so much better. It's like one of his last things. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Back in the early days, too. With our technology today, you'd think there'd be more better cartoons, animated stuff. And there is on the movies. They're doing a pretty good job with some stuff there.
CGI and stuff. But
but TV.
No, there's nothing. These were hand-drawn with love.
Yep.
You see, there's a labor-intensive effort to make these really, fantastic visual experiences, and the backgrounds are the trippiest things you've ever seen. It's like, what were they smoking up there
at
1600 Broadway? Or what were they taking? Mushrooms?
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, they're very psychedelic. Rubbery, urban, gritty landscapes, and it's like R. Crumb, the whole, that sensibility, you could tell his major influence was Max Fleischer.
And people need to go on YouTube. There's a popular science video that shows you the whole process of what they did. The stereoscopic rotary process. And Fleischer Studios and everything they did back then. It's like a 1950s newsreel type thing, but it's excellent.
Out of the inkwell.
You know what scared the crap out of me with Popeye? Alice the Goon. Do you remember those?
Oh, sure. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
His love interest. Right. She was like a clinging vine.
Yeah.
No. Listen, there's a record I grew up with that had a song about Alice the Goon. When we were thinking of repertoire, there was a Popeye song folio published, I think, in the 30s, and then a children's record was made of these songs, and I had that record. So
I had the record too.
She's Alice, dumb Alice, the goofy loony goon.
Oh,
yeah.
But don't you think I've never seen any kind of character like that before? It really, and the
I
music
know.
kind of freaked me out, man.
Yeah, all of them. I mean, the Popeye versus Sinbad, that
Yep.
cartoon, it's an epic. I mean, they have 3D planar animation,
Yep.
another innovation that later Disney picked up on everybody to give a 3D depth to the field. Yep.
And the Sea Witch,
these
right?
are like little treasures. People should
yeah.
see these things. Yeah.
We'll never forget,
Well, Sunday we're showing a whole bunch of them at the Museum of the Moving Image up in Astoria, Queens. This is a beautiful film museum, and I have a real love of this place because, if you know my work, another thing that I do frequently is to accompany old films with original soundtracks, solo guitar.
Yeah.
And the first one of The Golem was done there back in 1989. Yeah, I love it. And if you do go there, check out, a friend of mine's got an exhibition going on currently called Walkers, Hollywood Lives in Art and Artifact, which is a fantastic collection of some famous painters and their work that is based on imagery from old Hollywood. I mean, third generation removed. Ironic commentary on Hitchcock and John Wayne and people like that. Yeah, go see that. It's on the third floor. Robert Melvin Rubin, the guy I've known a long time, went to school with him. He curated this thing. It's amazing. So.
Well, Flash Your Eyes out, officially out. I think I did see it on Amazon already.
Yeah, it's at Barnes & Noble. Can you believe it?
Barnes & Noble, Amazon. It's out everywhere. Everybody.
Gary Lucas's Flash Your Eye.
Everybody needs to buy that.
You gotta get it. And the artwork. We had this guy, Joe Busam Sr., who is an animation buff, make the most beautiful cover for this thing.
Oh, yeah, I saw the cover online,
Oh, well, when we're done, send me an email, Gary@GaryLucas.com. I'll shoot you a copy today.
Oh, I got to have it.
You got to have it.
I'm a big fan of both of them and all his works and everything,
I'd love to send you one, Ray.
You met Captain Beefheart. I think it was you went to interview him, right? Because you were a college radio jock back in the day.
Yep.
And that's where you interviewed Captain Beefheart, and later on ended up being his guitar player, right?
I know.
Yeah.
So funny old path I've taken. Well, I loved Beefheart's music when I first heard it. And that's not totally true. I mean, I didn't know what to make of it when I first heard it. I thought, is this just noisy cacophony, or what are we doing here? But on a couple of listens, it all fell into place, and I'm like, this is supposed to sound like this. It's brilliant. This guy is really a poet. It's visionary. Well, I was a fan and proselytizer, and when I got to Yale University, I saw a sign in the paper that he was making his first ever show in New York. This is January, February 71. And I went down and saw him, and I had a life-changing experience that night. And I said, if I ever do anything with music, I want to play with this guy. That's how powerful it was. It was like a circus, man. And he was the ringmaster. And he had these mythological creatures playing instruments surrounding him, and they all looked like gods. And I was like, man, I want to be part of this energy. And if I ever do anything, I'm going to play with this guy. And I got my wish, though it took a few years, Well, I was shy. I met him, interviewed him. I didn't dare tell him I played. I thought he'd laugh, And just oh, come on. But when I finally told him he was, in between bands, and he was with Frank Zappa. So I went to a show they did up in my hometown, and I told him, hey, if you ever put your band back together, let me audition for you on guitar. He was like, why didn't you tell me you played, man? He was all indignant. Bring your guitar up to Boston Friday. So I did, and I played in his hotel room, and he was like, great, we'll do it, but it was still kind of vague, It took a few more years, and then finally I got the call, and he said, all right, I'm going to send you some music. That's how it began. He sent me a piece. Flavor Bud Living. I recorded it for the album Doc at the Radar Station in 1980 on Virgin.
Yep.
And then became a full member of his band for the next album, which was called Ice Cream for Crow. 1982 Virgin Epic.
Yep.
And then he sort of retired and said, I just want to be a painter.
That was it. Yeah.
Help me. And I said, all right. I introduced him to Julian Schnabel, the famous painter, and, you know, hooked him up with some big gallery in Cologne, Germany. And he, you know, had some major exhibitions and then tragically passed in 2010, I think it was.
Yeah, I remember when he passed.
I really miss the guy. He was total genius, inspiration.
Yeah, we lost him and Frank Zappa early, you know?
Yeah, they were childhood friends, you know, and you could see that they had a real friendship there and a rivalry, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Was he a band leader, tough like Zappa?
Oh,
or was
man.
Was
he tough?
Was he tough?
Was he tough? You could spit you out. He could chew you up and spit you out for breakfast. Don?
Wow. Didn't know that.
Well, if you got him on a bad day, let's put it this way. I don't want to tell stories. It's documented in books and places, but, you know, he was a taskmaster for sure. And not that easy to follow. His instructions, they were very vague sometimes, or they were just artistic. Like, before I did a piece, he came up to me. We were doing a solo piece, Flavor Bud Living, and he went, play like you died, man. It's like, okay, what does that mean? Well, I'll try. I mean, he was a wonderful spirit and the most creative person I've ever met, bar none. Yeah. Head and shoulders the most above anyone, and I worked with some big names. But he was his own worst enemy in some respects, and you had to subordinate your own ego totally to this guy and his whims, and what would seem to be whims, you know. And when I was young, I was like, okay, it's part of the adventure. And
sure,
I was a resilient fellow. Now I wouldn't allow anybody to put me through these kind of changes he liked to put people through. No way.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, but I'm so proud of the experience. I learned so much from him.
You said something once which kind of clicked in my head because I've heard it before from another artist. You said you started hearing music in your head at an early age, which it was interesting because I talked to Randy Bachman. He said the exact same thing. You know, I mean, it's not like hearing a song and it's repeating in your head. You heard music in your head. It's like a different calling, I guess. Or something. Yeah.
Well, I just felt attracted to the power of music. I mean, it was the most sensory, pleasurable experience I'd ever had. It just drew me into it. You know, I loved film. I liked painting. I loved literature.
Right.
You know, I'm an English literature major in college, but I, adore music. I just think it's the most pleasurable of all the, art forms out there.
Yeah. I've never stopped since I was a kid.
Yeah, well, see, you latch onto something and it's good.
That's right.
And, you want to just, make it your life, That's...
Well, it got me through a lot of tough times, I'm telling you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's so true,
Yeah. I'm looking forward to what kind of projects you got going on, and I mean, I could see you doing a lot more. You did film scores, right?
Oh, I continue. I got one. I'm playing out in this great artist space. It's a visionary space out in Red Hook, Brooklyn, which is now sort of become a hipster enclave. They keep moving it farther and farther from Manhattan, where I live. This is about, a half an hour taxi ride, 45 minutes out in Brooklyn along the shore and the docks. Anyway, I'm at this space, Pioneer Works, on March 18th, Friday night.
Okay.
Playing a live soundtrack to Louis Buñuel, the great surrealist, Spanish surrealist masters, Exterminating Angel, if you know that film, from 1962.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, and it's the U.S. premiere of my live score. I have only played it once previously, and that was in Havana, Cuba, at the Havana Film Festival in 2011. So I plan to do more of these. I don't want to tell you which film stuck because people steal my ideas, but there are a number. And then, I'm trying to get these other collaborations going simultaneously. I'm working with this great Italian singer too, Alessio Franchini, who's an old friend and a great fan of Jeff Buckley's work. And I did a tribute in Milano last year in an old theater that was quite fun and very popular. And went on Italian TV with him, doing more of this music, and so I hope to be hooking up with him again soon. And yeah, you know, I mean, I never have stopped working as far as like trying to keep creating new work and reinventing myself and engaging in new art forms. You know, I wrote a book, I don't know if you got a copy of Touched by Grace, My Time with Jeff Buckley. I can send you that too.
Okay, great.
It came out 2 years ago on Jawbone Books in English. It was already out in Italian. Which is, I'm pretty proud of that. I got 4 stars in Mojo. It's not really been widely reviewed, but we didn't have a chance to hire a publicist. Or, you know, everything is sort of contingent on sponsorship and budgets. And, you know how it goes.
Well, send me the book. I'll review it.
Yeah, I will. Just send me your address. I'll send you a Fleischer Eye in that book. And
that'll be wonderful. You want me to? I'll send it through Ann, I guess, right?
Yeah, or just Gary at GaryLucas.com.
Okay.
Very simple. Yeah.
Excellent. Gary, I want to thank you so much, you and Jann, for being on the show today, man.
Our pleasure, man.
And
great
for all the incredible music, music you've given us and continue to give us. Good luck with all the new music, and I think the new album's going to be, it's a great idea, and it touches all of us, you know.
Thank you, man.
And I'm looking forward to hearing the whole thing.
All right, great. You got it. It's coming your way now, man.
Awesome.
All right.
Good luck, man, and happy touring this year. And
hope to see you down there in Florida, man. Get Ann on the case here. All right, excellent.
I'll show you a good time.
Thanks. I know you will. All right.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Bye-bye. Be sure to purchase the latest album recorded by Gary Lucas and Jann Klose entitled Stereopticon at Amazon.com or visit www.lucasklose.com. Also, the brand new album by Gary Lucas entitled Fleischer Eye, music from Max Fleischer cartoons released this month. It's music from Max Fleischer's Betty Boop and Popeye cartoons available at www.GaryLucas.com or now on Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com. For touring schedules and additional information about these artists, visit www.GaryLucas.com, www.facebook.com/Gary.Lucas, Jann Klose, www.JannKlose.com, and www.facebook.com/Jann Klose. Join me bi-weekly Mondays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on The Ray Shasho Show. Very special thanks to the great Ann Layton of Layton Media for hooking us up today with Gary Lucas and Jann Klose. Coming up next on The Ray Shasho Show, my special guest will be Marky Ramone, the legendary drummer and songwriter of the Ramones and author of the new book, My Life as a Ramone. If you have comments or suggestions or would like to be a guest on The Ray Shasho Show, call 941-877-1552 or email us at ray@publicityworksagency.com. And don't forget to purchase a copy of my latest book entitled Wacky Shenanigans on F Street, Proud to be Politically Incorrect in Washington, D.C., available at Amazon.com. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you for listening to The Ray Shasho Show, brought to you by the Publicity Works Agency. Call 941-877-1552 or visit us at publicityworksagency.com, specializing in author and music artist publicity plans. We shine when we make you shine. Join Ray Shasho every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on BBS Radio, Station 1.